and the clerk will unlock the machine. I can assure you that Speaker David Ralston is smiling down on this body right now.
Overwhelming support in the House for a bill that would continue the work of the late Speaker David Ralston when it comes to improving Georgia's mental health delivery system. And the question of Buckhead Cityhood went to the Senate floor. Good evening. Welcome to Lawmakers on this Legislative Day 27. I'm Donna Lowry in Atlanta. This is the last legislative day before crossover day on Monday, when a bill needs to pass out of one chamber to have a chance of passing this session. Today, both chambers heard lots of major bills. We'll hear more on that in our Capitol Report. We'll also talk about legislation aimed at making sure all public school children who qualify for reduced-priced meals receive them at no cost. The author of that bill also wants Medicaid to cover the prevention and treatment of lymphedema. And in this show, my expansive interview with the Speaker of the House, John Burns, on his first session at the helm, and more. But first, our Capitol correspondent gives us the latest on a busy day so far. Rochelle?
Hi, Donna. Well, yes, it's been a very, very busy day. I believe that the Senate is still in session as we speak. Now, in the House, House Bill 520 got some very passionate words from Representative Todd Jones. The bill addresses the housing challenges faced by those suffering from mental health. And in the Senate, the Buckhead Cityhood and the first betting law struck out.
In the Senate today, 26 bills were presented on the day before crossover day. One of the more controversial bills, SB 114, would annex and create the new city of Buckhead City.
I truly believe that we have reached the point where we are today because city leaders and elected officials who felt that they could ignore the concerns of their taxpayers without being watched, because that group of taxpayers only represented a small portion of their population. The problem with this theory is that these leaders failed to remember that Georgia has a strong history of disgruntled citizens who break away from counties and form cities in order to establish their own identity when they feel their voices are not heard, nor do their opinions matter. My problem is this is an ugly cake covered in a whole lot of icing. Everybody's got a reason why they don't want to. They don't want to give these people a voice. They don't want to give them a hearing, and then you stand up here and yell for voters' rights and yell for how you support the little person and all that kind of stuff. Do me a favor, just tell the truth. Say what it is, because you know what it is. I know what it is. It's about color. It's about green. I'm gonna say it again. It's about color, it's about green, it's about money.
Let's give the folks in Buckhead a chance to decide for themselves that they're willing to go through this difficult process, to work through this process of de-annexation, and should they choose themselves to do it, someday they can be their own city. They can be their own area, their own municipality, where they don't face decisions where they're voted on by people they can't vote for themselves.
Cityhood opponents say that the split would be a disaster.
I think the real debate today, and the debate that we are trying to be humble and transparent and factual about with our colleagues today, is how much of a disaster this would actually be from a governance standpoint, from a legal standpoint, if this thing actually goes. It is the kind of thing that is so egregious that it does invoke that role as Republicans, small r, members of a republic who have to make the tough decision to not always go with every bit of popular pressure.
I'm going to tell you, this legislation for me, it's real troublesome. I know that everybody in here has a big heart. You wouldn't be in the position that you're in. But if we jerk that heart out, we're all going to die. If we jerk the heart out of Atlanta, which is Buckhead, said the city of Atlanta will die. I don't want to see our capital city die, but at the same token, I know we've got to fix it.
The bill failed 23 to 33. Also on the floor, a bill that would allow online sports betting as well as horse racing in the state. The bill's sponsor and racehorse breeder, Senator Billy Hickman, presented his version of the economic benefits.
Our bill, Senate Bill 57, will be controlled and managed by the Georgia Lottery. All sports are treated equal. In one of our committee meetings, somebody brought up about high school sports. There is nothing in this bill, and we would never let anything in this bill allowed to be bet on high school sports. But I was glad to ask the question. No casinos. Remember we said that. Fixed odds, not pari-mutuel. 8,500 jobs, $1.1 billion economic impact. All money's in the lottery, Georgia Lottery. Our experts also estimate that anywhere from $250 to $300 million a year is additional money that's going to lottery.
But Senator Marty Harbin says the benefits ultimately are not worth the dangers that gambling brings.
I believe that gambling is bad for Georgia. It's bad for families. It's bad for children. It's bad for business. And it's just plain bad. It goes against wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage, and the principles that we pledge to on a regular, every morning basis. And I believe it's not good for the citizens of Georgia. And I would ask that you vote no.
Appropriations Chairman Senator Blake Tillery says the bill's numbers don't add up.
It doesn't say that you have to make sure you fully funded all the scholarships that HOPE recipients are asking for. It doesn't say you have to fully fund some needs-based scholarship. It doesn't say you have to take care of everything in the HOPE grant career field. It says you have to spend 10% of the excess reserve fund balance regardless. So do we now spend 150% of tuition just because we're required by law by this 10% to do that? Do we build another building, name another name on that building, put new AstroTurf down? Why would we do that?
The bill failed to pass 19-37. Also on the floor, SB 92 is a Republican-sponsored bill that will create a committee to oversee and discipline any district attorney or general solicitor charged with breaking the law. Democrat opponents say that this bill is not necessary because of existing laws, and all it really does is create a partisan panel to control and punish those DAs whose actions or politics Republicans disagree with. The bill was passed 32-24 along party lines. And in the House, House Bill 520, which serves as an expansion of House Bill 1013, which overwhelmingly passed last session.
Based on 1013, we reported on for the first time, although we had statutorily called for it several times, a prescription formulary that now gives us the opportunity to understand in our procurement contracts how families can be treated. We represent to you a report of progress based on 1013, and 520 is the next step.
HB 520 would establish funding for county jails to implement behavioral health screening and provide coordinators for effective collaboration between criminal justice and behavioral health providers. The bill would also address the issue of those suffering from mental health episodes from being housed in a jail because of a lack of mental health facilities. Representative Todd Jones delivered a passionate argument for the bill that carries on the mental health mission of former Speaker David Ralston.
It is super critical that we understand a very small population within this state. You will hear the phrase familiar faces 100 times. These familiar faces are absolutely critical to us getting mental health and substance abuse under control in this state.
The bill passed 163-3.
I can assure you that Speaker David Ralston is smiling down on this body right now.
And back here at the Capitol, as you can imagine, reaction to Senate Bill 114 failing in the Senate has had some swift reaction. I'm now joined by State Senator Jason Estevez, who has 60% of District 6, which represents Buckhead. I just want to get your reaction to the failure of this bill.
Yeah, well, I'm just excited about the fact that we can get away from this distraction and focus on the real issues that are impacting Buckhead residents and residents across the state. Public safety, public works, making sure that our education system is strong, healthcare strong. All these issues that really matter are what my constituents in Buckhead want to really get back to.
Now, one of the issues that we've heard a lot about when it comes to establishing Buckhead as its own city is violence.
Yeah.
That was part of a major reason why a lot of people wanted to see this happen. What now is going to be your effort in combating that violence that constituents in Buckhead are worried about?
Yeah, well, the good news is that crime is down in Buckhead. Crime has been going down for a while now, but we want to continue that work. So I plan on working together with my colleagues in the legislature, with city officials, with Buckhead residents themselves, to work to tackle the crime issue. Fortunately, we have a great mayor in Andre Dickens, and we have city leaders who are laser focused on that issue, and we have a great chief of police that is also focused on it. So I'm confident that we'll be able to continue to work on crime and that the rate will continue to drop.
Do you feel that this failure now puts this to rest? Because, I mean, Buckhead residents had already voted against it before. Do you think this is kind of putting the nail in the coffin on this?
You can never say never. Nothing in this building is ever dead. But for now, it does provide us that space to do that continued work around public safety.
Okay, well, thank you so much, State Senator Jason Estevez. And Donna, that is my Capitol report. We're going to send it back to you.
Thank you, Rochelle, and thank you for that interview. We're going to spend some time now on a few different issues, including education. And joining me is Democratic Representative Imani Barnes of Tucker. Welcome to Lawmakers.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. We're going to start with a bill to make it possible for more public school children to receive breakfast and lunch free, HB 510. Tell us about what led you to draft this legislation.
Well, during COVID, during the pandemic, our children had free breakfast and free lunch. And as a parent myself, it was a less stress on me to send my son to school and not have to worry about paying for lunch.
Yeah. So tell me what your bill does then.
So HB 510, it provides free breakfast and lunch for all students in the state.
Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. We know there's federal money that already goes toward this. What's the difference?
So we would compensate for the portion that's not covered by the federal funds. So for those who receive reduced lunches, we would compensate for that portion that the parent has to pay.
You had some statistics you had.
That's right.
Tell me about them.
That's right. So 74% of our teachers are reporting that they have children in their classes that are hungry. Data has proven that a hungry child leads to lower GPAs. It is proven that their concentration isn't the same when they haven't eaten breakfast. It is proven that children succeed more if they are fed healthy meals during the day.
Yeah. So what reaction are you getting? I know you had some signers.
Right.
Right. Tell me.
I'm getting a lot of feedback from this bill. Parents, teachers, nutritionalists. Not only will we provide healthy food, but I incorporated Georgia agriculture in this bill. So we would use Georgia grown, Georgia's own, Georgia's grown. Breakfast and lunch for the children.
I know that happens some already in schools, so you just want to make sure this is happening. I know during the COVID you mentioned that students were able to get it. It must have been really tough afterwards for to go back to, and for some kids to go hungry.
Right. So after COVID, they extended the supplement for another year. So this year, that federal funding for free school lunch and breakfast just ended. So parents, in the midst of inflation, are having to deal with how we're going to pay for our kids' food while they're at school. And so think about parents with multiple children. so it affects them more.
Yeah. So right now, a hearing or no? I mean, Monday's coming, crossover day.
I'm waiting for a hearing.
Okay.
I've asked my constituents to reach out to the Education Committee to request that I have a hearing so we can get our children fed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck on that one. I know you have a couple of other bills. Another one deals with visual devices in schools. And can you describe these devices? They're for safety reasons.
Safety reasons. So this is a school safety bill. This will be a non-auditory school safety device that will be placed in multiple places around the school that will cater to our deaf children, hard of hearing, and be a non-auditory alarm and for school safety. So a visual mechanism that will alert the school if there's a lockdown, tornado, if there's an active intruder or active shooter, without alerting the intruder that we're locking the school down. So it'll be a visual display for the children to follow the prompts on the visual screen.
Yeah, and you said you over at Emory, there's something similar. Tell us your background in understanding this.
Yes, I work in biomedical research at Emory University, and we have a lot of security measures in our division where we have lights that will shine a color if the doors are properly latched. And I would like for these to be in schools as well, to give the kids and teachers and staff a sense of security, knowing that the doors are locked properly. So the light will shine if the doors are latched and locked properly. If the doors are not latched and locked properly, the light will not shine. So it's just visual security. Like you see the light not shining, oh, this door may not be locked. I may need to alert security or the principal.
And we already have that in some schools, DeKalb County.
DeKalb County has the visual displays in all of the buildings, yes.
Yeah, and so it just blinks if something is going on, so.
Yeah, so it's like a digital word board, and the words will go across the screen, and that's how the kids can read it. And for the deaf kids, if they can't hear an auditory alarm, then it's easy for them to read.
Yeah. Is your child in a school that has one of those?
My child is at a public school that has one of those, yes, and I feel more comfortable sending my child to school with these security devices.
Okay, we're going to change gears a little. You work in public health. You talked about it a little bit. You have a bill to have Medicaid cover the prevention and treatment of lymphedema. So first, let's talk about what lymphedema is.
Okay, this bill is HB 74. Lymphedema is a disease where your lymphatic fluid is not circulating through your body properly. Yeah. So therefore, it makes your trunks or your extremities swell. You'll see people with swollen legs or swollen arms, and there's no cure for lymphedema. Lymphedema is close to my heart. My mother has lymphedema. She's had it my whole life, and she's had it since she was 11 years old. And I've watched her struggle with being able to keep the therapy, which is compression stockings, and they're really expensive. So you will have to replace these stockings every few months, and they're upward to $200 a piece. So I would like for this therapy to be covered under Medicaid.
Yeah, so you would like to see Medicaid, not only the therapy, but even the stockings that they have to wear.
That's right.
Yeah.
Under Medicaid.
Yeah, and this is something that can come up with somebody who has cancer, right? It's not something that you said your mother had it since she was young, but it can come up if some medical issue
Yes,
exists.
so I've learned through my research that a lot of cancer survivors after chemo develop lymphedema and have to purchase and wear compression stockings.
Yeah. What reaction are you getting to that bill?
I'm getting a lot of feedback, as well as I'm having a lot of cancer survivors reach out and say thank you for drafting this bill.
Okay,
yes.
So these are your first three bills. This is your first session. Yeah. Yep. Tell me how the session has been so far for you.
The session is grueling. It takes a lot out of you, but we're here to work for the people, so it's fine. I will be tired to work for my constituents.
I'll ask you about that at the end of the session. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Coming up, my expansive interview with the Speaker of the House, John Burns, on a number of issues as crossover day approaches.
Lawmakers is made possible by Georgia Farm Bureau. With over 80 years of helping everyone understand the importance of agriculture in our state. After all, ag is Georgia's #1 industry. Food and fiber production represents over $74 billion in output of Georgia's strong economy. The Georgia Farm Bureau legislative team works to represent producers across Georgia at the state capitol during the session and year-round. Georgia Farm Bureau, the voice of Georgia farmers.
Here's what's new this month with Passport.
Kirsten had a lot of courage. She fought for Black culture.
They could have killed you. You're exactly what we need right now. Oh my God.
What is this?
She was poisoned. These and all your favorite shows are available with Passport. Support your PBS station and stream more with Passport on the PBS app.
We care about things that affect the lives of every American.
We are there at the front lines
to get to the heart of what really matters in every issue.
This country has not seen this in 80 years.
This extraordinary moment in American history.
You're making such a huge impact.
Trust is at the heart of what we do.
One of the easiest ways to support GPB is to become a monthly GPB sustainer. Your monthly support continues automatically month after month and supports not only the great programming that you love on GPB, but also our efforts in the community. GPB is committed to provide a trusted space for lifelong learning on the air, digitally and in person all across Georgia. All this is made possible with your monthly support. And we can't do it without you, so please donate right now at gpb.org/give. And thanks.
Welcome back to Lawmakers. I'm Donna Lowry. When the late House Speaker David Ralston passed last fall unexpectedly, not only did the loss hit hard with so many Georgians who'd come to know him during his 12 years as Speaker, but he left big shoes to fill in the House. House members elected to the position the lawmaker who served with Ralston as Majority Leader since 2015, John Burns. I had the chance to talk to Burns about his first session in that position and some other major issues this session.
I have a lot of very smart people around me that have certainly helped me tremendously. But, you know, I've learned over the years from watching and being associated with Speaker Ralston, being associated with the process, that it's not, all of it's not completely new, of course, but many things are. And decision-making is one of those things I've been working very hard on. And I like to deal with the facts. And that's what my leadership team has helped me with, and the members, and as we work through the process, we're dealing with the facts. And I think you make good decisions for Georgians when you deal with factual issues around big questions, big issues that impact us all.
Transgender issues with surgeries, and how talking about gender in schools and criminalizing librarians, and some would say those are culture wars issues. How do you feel about those as they're headed your way?
Well, I have a lot of friends over in the Senate, and they will continue to be my friends as we move through this process. But I'll tell you what we're doing. We're focusing on the House. We're focusing on Day 28 and getting some very important legislation over. I'm not sure everything the Senate's working on over there, but we'll be willing to take up whatever they send to us, and certainly in a very thoughtful manner. And as we always like to say, we'll perfect whatever they send to us.
Okay, let's talk about, you're continuing with the mental health bill. Talk about your involvement in that and your reasons behind it, and anything in particular you're interested in.
Well, we think we've made tremendous progress over the last year, or making tremendous progress. We know that Speaker Ralston and his wife Cherie were, as y'all heard me say, were champions for this issue, as so many of the rest of us are, because we all know that mental health is an issue in almost every family in our state in one form or another. Been very pleased with the work that Chairman Todd Jones and Representative Oliver are continuing to do, champion another mental health bill for us. And we're taking that mantle from where we moved it from last year and the issues we were trying to address. I'm really excited about what we're doing. We're taking an in-depth look we're continuing the current progress, of course, but we're also taking an in-depth look and ensuring that every agency in Georgia, whether they be public safety, public health, other health agencies, and state government, make sure we're all on the same page with the right terminology, with the right definitions of what mental health is encompassed, to make sure then that we continue to move forward with our current plans, and also then to develop a plan that is not a long ways into the future, but certainly those efforts will will be finished by the end of the year, and then we'll be able to formulate even more plans to address the mental health issues across our state, whether it be in the homeless community, the public safety areas, and how we work with folks who have those issues to make sure we address each and every one of them that are specific to individuals. And I think that's what we have to realize. Mental health issues aren't one size fits all, if you will, but they're specific individuals, and we have to make sure our programs are tailored, that our workforce is available to make sure that we address those issues.
Okay. Switching gears a little bit, let's talk about the possibilities of something with sports betting or gambling as a whole passing this session or getting through crossover day.
We are, and you're exactly right again. So we passed a sports betting bill out of committee this morning. It will go to the Rules Committee to be further considered. We very thoughtfully looked at the issue from many different perspectives. We wanted to make sure that from a funding perspective, what amount would be returned, percentages would be returned to the Georgia Lottery. We looked at what the Georgia Lottery's returns are. So we settled on a 25% level. So we believe that's appropriate. We can do many good things from our educational structure, whether it be higher ed, whether it be pre-K, if we move forward with the proposition. But I'm going to listen to my members. That's what I pledged to them I would do when they allowed me the honor to serve in this position. I'm going to listen to my members, and we're going to, when we thoroughly consider all aspects of sports betting, then we'll make a decision and we'll move forward. And that's what we'll be doing in the next few days.
How about anything beyond sports betting when it comes to gambling?
You know, I'll say this from the Senate. We'll look at anything the Senate sends to us, but this year we're focused from that perspective. Our focus is going to be the possibilities and understanding all the implications that go around sports betting.
Yeah, and the fact that the money would go into the lottery for education makes a difference for you, right?
It does, absolutely. That's I think if there's a path forward, that's where it should go, and that's what benefits most Georgians.
I did want to ask you about your opinion on the Buckhead City bill, the carving out of Buckhead out of the city of Atlanta. We saw movement on that in the Senate and a Senate committee this morning.
You know, that's almost a standard answer, but is a very truthful answer because I haven't looked at their legislation. We know that public safety anywhere in the state, for every Georgian is important. We know that for those folks who reside in the Buckhead area, certainly it's of paramount importance. We've had conversations with Mayor Dinkins and know that he's interested. He's made some efforts in that area. We know that state public safety folks have been engaged in some public safety opportunities, if you will, in that area. So, but what we want to do, we'd like to take a look at what the Senate has passed, and certainly that's something we'll bring on this side when it lands here, and we'll work through it very pragmatically. We know there are a lot of people for it, and there are a lot of people against it. But at this point in time, I really don't have an opinion exactly on where Buckhead may land, but we're going to look at it in a very serious nature.
Now, I did that interview with Speaker Burns before tonight's vote against Buckhead Cityhood, and as you heard earlier, that bill will not be going to the House for a vote. That does it for Lawmakers Today. We'll be back on Monday, day 28 of the legislative session, for our 1-hour crossover day special. We'll have interviews, live action from both chambers during that hour. Please join us. For now, good night.